The wind cut across the empty fields like a blade, sharp, cold, and unforgiving. Rancher Cole Maddox had lived through storms, droughts, and heartbreak, but nothing prepared him for the moment his own hands moved toward something he never thought he'd do. And when he heard her voice, shaking, pleading, desperate, "Don't, please stop," he froze in place like lightning had struck him. In that split second, he realized he was standing on the edge of becoming someone he would regret forever. And the woman trembling in front of him, she wasn't a stranger. She was the last person he ever wanted to hurt. What happened next would change both of their lives and teach an entire town what kindness can do when everything else has fallen apart. Before we begin this emotional journey, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps our community grow and keeps stories like this alive. Welcome to Soul Tales, where every story touches the heart. Cole Maddox wasn't the kind of man people feared. In fact, folks in Willow Creek often said he had the gentlest heart on a rancher they'd ever met. But life had hardened him. The ranch he inherited from his father was drowning in debt. Drought had scorched half his land, and after his divorce last year, loneliness became his daily companion. Still, every morning he woke before sunrise, laced up his boots, and whispered to himself, "Just keep going, Cole." Not because he believed things would get better, but because working was the only thing that stopped his thoughts from crushing him. One cold November evening, after a long day fixing broken fence posts, Cole drove into town to buy feed. He wasn't in the mood to talk to anyone, especially not the townsfolk who loved asking how he was holding up. Truth was, he didn't know anymore. As he was loading the sacks into his truck, he heard someone call his name softly. "Cole, is that you?" He turned to see Emily Carter, a schoolteacher he'd known since they were kids. She looked exhausted. Dark, circles under her eyes, jacket too thin for the weather, her hands rubbing nervously together. "Emily? You okay?" he asked, noticing she was on foot. "No car, no ride." She hesitated before answering. I need help, and you're the only person I could think of." Cole felt a twist in his chest. Emily was proud. The kind of woman who never asked for anything. Something had to be wrong. What happened? Tears filled her eyes before she could speak. "My mama," she collapsed. "I need to get to the hospital, but I can't drive. And my brother's out of town. Please, Cole." Her voice cracked, and in that moment the hardened layer around Cole's heart softened. He nodded immediately. "Get in. I'll take you." The drive was quiet. Emily kept staring at her hands as if afraid the moment she looked up, everything would fall apart. Cole kept glancing at her, wanting to say something comforting, but afraid he'd say the wrong thing. When they reached the hospital, Emily's mother was in critical condition. Hours passed. Nurses walked in and out. Machines beeped softly. And through it all, Emily sat trembling in a chair, hugging herself. Cole, normally awkward around emotional moments, silently brought her coffee, found her a blanket, and sat beside her without saying a word. Sometimes kindness didn't need speeches, just presence. When dawn broke, the doctor finally approached. "She made it through the night," he said gently, "but recovery will take time." Emily burst into tears of relief. Cole reached out, hesitated, then carefully placed his hand on her shoulder. She didn't pull away. For a moment, he felt something warm stir inside him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. But life has a strange way of testing people at the worst moments. A week later, Emily showed up at Cole's ranch unannounced. Her face was pale, her eyes red, and she clutched a paper in her trembling hands. "What's wrong?" Cole asked, stepping off the porch. She tried to speak, but her voice shook too much. Finally, she held out the paper. A past due notice. "I didn't want to ask again," she whispered. "But the hospital bills, I'm drowning, Cole, and I don't know what to do." Cole stared at the paper. Something inside him twisted. Not because he didn't want to help, but because he had bills of his own piling up like a mountain he couldn't climb. For the first time in years, he felt anger. Not at Emily, but at life. "Emily, I can't," he began. Her eyes widened, filling with fear. "Please, I'm not asking for a handout. I'll pay you back. I don't have anyone else." The weight on Cole's shoulders felt crushing. He ran both hands over his face, his chest tightened, his breathing grew shallow. Memories of losing his marriage, his father's ranch falling apart, his bank threats, all of it flooded his mind at once. He didn't realize his hands were gripping the railing so hard his knuckles turned white. Emily stepped closer, reaching out. "Cole?" He didn't hear her. The pressure inside him was boiling, pushing him to the edge. He slammed his palm against the railing. Not near her, not at her, but the sound echoed like a gunshot. Emily flinched back instantly, her voice broke with panic. "Don't! Please stop!" And that was the moment everything froze. Cole looked down at his own hands, shaking, not from anger at her, but from the weight of everything he had never dealt with. His throat tightened in horror. "Emily," he whispered, stepping back. God, I'm so sorry. I wasn't going to hurt you. I'm not myself lately." Tears ran down her cheeks, not from fear, but from heartbreak. "Cole, you don't have to carry everything alone." Those words hit him harder than anything in years. No one had ever said them to him. Not once. He sank onto the porch step, face in his hands. Emily hesitated, then slowly sat beside him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Cole whispered, "I want to help you. I just don't know how to help myself." Emily looked at him with soft, tired eyes. "Kindness isn't about having extra, Cole. It's about giving what you can, and sometimes all we can give is honesty." He let out a shaky breath. "I'm scared, Emily. I'm scared of losing everything my family built. And I'm scared of losing my mother," she replied. "But we don't have to be scared alone." Those simple words were the lifeline he didn't know he needed. That afternoon, Cole drove her to town, not to give her money, but to help her set up a community fundraiser. He talked to neighbors, ranchers, the church, the school board, people he hadn't opened up to in months. When they learned Emily's situation, donations poured in. But something surprising happened too. Someone asked Cole how he'd been holding up, and for the first time he told the truth. Not all of it, not the deepest parts, but enough. And people listened. They didn't judge. They didn't look down on him. They helped. Someone offered hay at a discount. Another volunteered to fix his broken irrigation pump. A neighbor who hadn't visited in years showed up at his ranch with warm dinner and sat talking with him on the porch. Cole realized something powerful. Kindness wasn't weakness. Opening up wasn't failure. And asking for help didn't make him less of a man. Weeks passed. Emily's mother slowly recovered. The fundraiser eased the financial burden, and Cole, he found his smile again. Not the forced one he used to wear, but a real one. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Emily stood beside him on the ranch, watching the horses graze. "You saved me," she said softly. Cole shook his head. "No. You saved me. You made me face the truth I kept running from." She slipped her hand into his. This time, Cole didn't pull away. "I'm glad you stopped that day," she whispered. "Not because I was afraid, but because it showed you what you were carrying. And it brought you back." Cole nodded, eyes glistening. "I don't ever want to be that close to breaking again." "You won't," she said. "Not alone." In a small town where everyone pretended to be strong, two broken hearts found healing through something simple, something powerful, something we often forget matters: kindness. Being there, listening, sharing the weight, asking for help, offering a hand even when your own hands are trembling. Cole learned that kindness doesn't just save others, it saves us too. And Emily learned that sometimes the person who seems the strongest is the one who needs kindness the most. So the next time someone looks tired, lost, or overwhelmed, reach out. Your kindness might be the thing that pulls them back from the edge. Because in the end, kindness is the one thing we give that always comes back stronger.